Hello and welcome back to Mastering Geoguessr. This is Zigzag over here on the Geoguessr Explained channel. Great to have you along. And today we are looking at Brazil. So last time that was the most upvoted comment. Let me know what you want me to cover next time. This is aimed at intermediate players, but beginners and pros will both gain something from it as well, I would say. And let's talk about the wonderful country of Brazil, a country that's one of my favorites. It's frustrating at first, for sure. Easy to recognize, hard to region guess. And it is a country that has a lot of fun vegetation metas, a lot of fun crop metas, bit of architecture in there. So let's get into it here. So I'm just going to read through the Plonket guide first and then do some gameplay as usual. So let me know what you want to see next. Okay, so .br, driving right, mostly Generation 4, bit of Generation 3, very, very rarely Generation 2 in the south of Brazil. It's very important to recognize Portuguese as a new player. It becomes less and less important as you know what the country looks like. But just remember these, like this suffix and this letter here are both very common in Portuguese. So we've got the red plates, which you see on trucks. We've got the old plate up until 2018, which was the one you mostly see in Generation 3. It doesn't have any blue strip on the top, and it's long. So if you see a long plate, then shouldn't really be Mexico, and if you see a short plate, shouldn't really be Brazil. That kind of thing, you know. Good to keep that principle in mind, you know what I'm saying. Blue strip on the top, pretty commonly visible, but you got to remember these are also common in Argentina, in Paraguay when it comes out, and in Uruguay when it gets Generation 4. Okay, red soil. That's the best clue for Brazil. 100%. There are many countries in the world with red soil, but none as consistently and as much as Brazil. Number 2, the concrete poles with the sections in them. When we get to gameplay, you'll see these very clearly. They tend to have 3 or 4 sections. They're flat on one side and then have divots on the other side. They normally have a crossbar at the top, and they're often painted white at the bottom. That's all you need to know. Black back of the sign. Most sign backs in Brazil are black. Mile markers are blue. And they normally have the road name. Road names, the roads are often very long, these ones, so can be a pain. You sometimes get the right road, but very far away. Next one here, we've got the chevrons, black and yellow. This is the same as Portugal. Good way to remember it if you know your European ones, then just the same as Portugal. Double yellow lines, and we are recording, nice. Double yellow lines is typical in Brazil. Single yellow is exceptionally rare, so if you see a single yellow line, immediately consider not Brazil. Likewise, double yellow line, of course, many countries, but Brazil as one of them. White curbs are very common in Brazil. You can see it in other countries too, but it's one of the countries that likes white curbs probably the most out of any. And I do think it's good to, the Plonket guide you can read if you're a newer player. I think it's good to like contextualize these clues. Like this is very useful. I'll try and run through the ones that are actually useful, but this is very useful for sure. Like, it doesn't really tell you where else they're common, but I would say Mexico, you can see them, but there's not many other countries where you see them commonly, I would say, especially in this style. Orange tiled roofs, pretty good clue for Brazil. Surrounding countries definitely don't do them as much. Brazil, that's a thing, like often, and it's quite Portuguese style. So oftentimes you'll look in the distance, I'll be wondering about the country, I'll zoom in, and it's like, oh, it's just Brazil, because the houses look like this. Clear satellite dishes, you also see those in like Malaysia, Indonesia, right? But yeah. Pretty good clue within Latin America. Should just be Brazil. Blue water tanks. Fort Lev. I'm not sure if Fort Lev is only in Brazil, but blue ones are definitely elsewhere. That being said, Mexico is normally black, so it's a pretty good tip. The stubby antenna and the white car with no antenna are two things you see in Brazil. It'll almost never be unblurred, so it'll always like kind of be blurred like this in either example. And the stubby antennas also found in, for example, Ecuador, Colombia, Mexico. You get 3 main types of car in Brazil for Generation 4. You got the plain white one, pretty rare. You got the striped white one, also like less common than just the plain blue one. All 3 are worth knowing. If you see a black car, not available in Brazil yet. If you see a red car, not available in Brazil yet. If you see the back of the car, this is the front of the car here. If you see the back of the car, then yeah. And also you can use the fact that we can see the bonnet here to say, okay, we're driving right-hand side of the road. Because if it was the back of the car, then we'd be driving left here if this was the back, right? But because it's the front, then we're clearly driving right. Okay, in terms of where they have coverage, we'll cover that soon. area codes. There's no country in the world where learning the phone codes is as useful, and you can only just learn the first digit. That's fine. It's all easy. 1, 2, so for the 2 biggest cities. 3, so for the 3 biggest cities here, and then it goes 4, 5 for the also the most populated states down here, and then 6, 7, 8, 9. So if you just learn that, that's good. If you want to learn the second digits, yeah, they're fairly random to some extent, so it does take time. But I would recommend at least learning the 6s and the 9s, and maybe some others. But yeah, I mean, if you just learn the 6s and the 9s, that's honestly enough. And then just trying to remember the order of everything else. The 2-letter kind of abbreviation for each state is quite useful. You see it every now and again, not essential. It also shows up on the Geoguessr map, so you can aid your memory. Postcodes, don't know them, don't care. Landscape and vegetation, we'll talk about soon. Okay, but now we get into the kind of climate stuff. So northeastern Brazil, yeah, it looks a lot different between the rainy season and the dry season. Can be extremely dry, but don't forget it can also get very green like this if you have coverage in the rainy season. The Amazon, dense rainforest, we know this. Accra has small hills. Okay, it's getting kind of specific here. I think I'll cover this all in the video, but I'll just point out the most useful ones. Grassy hills for Minas Gerais and Eastern is pretty good. They're kind of shaped like this. You get used to it after you see them a bit. Espirito Santo has these very rocky hills that just jut out of the earth. Very, very cool. And you do see that in surrounding areas as well. But Espirito Santo is kind of the state where you see it the most often. Learning the state names will help you follow this video, by the way. Not essential. But, you know, I often say states with, and then remember people don't really know the states when they're starting out. But it will just like, I think learning state names helps you just contextualize information even if you're just thinking about it to yourself. Like, oh, that was Minas Gerais. That's how Minas Gerais looks. If you're like, if I'm playing, what's a country where I don't know the states very well? If I'm playing like Ukraine and I don't know the names of the oblasts very well, it's harder for me to retain the information. You know, yeah. Anyway, Piranha Pines, one of the most useful metas, really commonly shows up in the south. In fact, if you're around here in the state of Piranha or the state of Santa Catarina, then it's like, wow. You just look for one of these and you probably have one. It's really useful. Coconut palms tend to be coastal and a bit further north. This one we call the like Cambodia palm, but really it's a Carnauba. It's like a fan palm, so as opposed to the coconut palms here, we got like fans on each of the branches, I suppose. Fronds, the palm fronds. They're kind of shaped like a pom-pom, right? And that is really common in Sierra. So it's also called the Sierra palm. It's related to the others, and I think it's like looks like a pineapple on the bottom, kind of. Yeah. Barbaçus. Okay, barbaçus, they can be found coastal east, but most commonly in the Amazon, and really common in Maranhão, which is this state here, which doesn't really look as Amazonian, so it's pretty useful for that. Yep. Then we have achai palms, which are very thin, and they often grow really close to each other. They're really common around the city of Belém, but they happen everywhere, so you can't really use it too much. Moriche is one I'm not the best. Moriche, yeah, is one I'm not the best at recognizing compared to the Cambo palm. It definitely looks a bit different. I guess it doesn't have a pineapple at the bottom. It's got rounded fronds. Yeah, I guess the ones here, they're kind of more like semicircle. I don't know. It's pretty similar, but this one's definitely common in the West. And you can also see these in Peru, I feel. This one this is the macaw, and it is very like common near the Paraguay border, so it gets called the Paraguay palm. It also occurs in Argentina as well. And yeah, it's mostly in the state of Mato Grosso do Sul, but it stretches a very far away rarely. Fake grass is really common up here. It's like weeds instead of proper grass. And very tall grass is very common in the center of the country. So we just did a bunch of vegetation stuff. I'll try and point it out in game. But vegetation is actually king in Brazil, which is pretty cool. Okay, agriculture, eucalyptus. So you can see quite a bit of eucalyptus trees in Brazil, you know, Australian trees. But they're almost always going to be in like rows growing like this with like, yeah, kind of like in a plantation instead of like a natural looking forest. Sugarcane is super useful. It occurs way up in the northeast in a couple of the states there, and then in Sao Paulo. So the main, the most famous state has a lot of sugarcane, which you wouldn't be you would be surprised, like why they're so far apart. But if you see it with red soil, it's down here, and if you see it without red soil, it's pretty much up here. In fact, the northeast is the part of Brazil with the least red soil, maybe apart from all the way on the Uruguay border, or all the way out in the far Amazon. Soybeans, they occur quite a lot around the place, often in, well, you can see where it's red, but I would say like Mato Grosso is the one I associate most with the soybeans. I honestly probably guess they're a bit too often, because as you can see, it's also very common in Goiás. Coffee is pretty useful. There's 3 main zones for coffee. It is Espírito Santo, the Minas Gerais, Sao Paulo border, and then Western Minas near Uberlândia. Yeah. Okay. Round poles lean you south. Wooden poles are common in certain places. Rio Grande do Sul, around Rio de Janeiro, and then in the Amazon, but not Acre and not what's it called? Pará. Yellow markings on the poles. Yeah, like a long yellow marking with a letter first, I believe is, yeah, Pernambuco and Bahia, as it would show here. I think that's the most useful one out of these ones. These ones are, I guess, a bit more advanced than what we're looking at here, probably. But yeah, I actually think they're a bit more advanced than what we're looking at here. Brown mushroom insulators are Pernambuco. It's a good one, but I would say this one's even more useful. The white mushroom insulators, kind of USA style ones, are in Bahia. Clear ones are in these places. Yeah, I'm going to skip past these. The pole tops, I think we've covered kind of the most useful ones at the start there. Oh, this is quite a useful one, though. They have bins outside houses in Latin America. They often just have bins like this. But if you see them being concrete, then it's pretty much Rondonia and Acre. And I've used that to get nice guesses quite a few times. Like when I'm looking at this, I'm like, what have I actually used to get good guesses? This one and those insulators from before are very, very good. Okay. And I would say that's about it. Oh yeah, there's lots of divided roads. So like where there's like a nature strip between in Sao Paulo. That is a very good meta. You do get them northeast, but you tend not to get them anywhere apart from near big cities elsewhere in the country. But yeah, like here, very useful. Cobblestone pavement, like max northeast or max south. Hexagonal pavement, a lot in Santa Catarina, interestingly. And actually, yeah, quite a lot in Minas as well, from my experience. The red brick happens in smaller towns in Acre. This pattern of pavement, I really associate that with Rio Grande do Sul, but apparently it's also common in Minas. Oh no, I was thinking of this one. Yeah, which is also Rio Grande do Sul. I don't know. I guess this one has less of a pattern than this one. I actually didn't know the difference between these two. Brown tiles, okay. German-looking houses is very much a good meta for south. There's lots of Germans in the south. And houses on stilts that are wooden is very common in Acre. I don't know why only Acre is covered in red here, because yeah, it says it here, but I feel like they are pretty, like, they're seeable elsewhere. Okay, like rickety wooden fences is a northeast meta as well. It's not what that was saying, but yeah. Oh yeah, bird's nests on the poles also lean south. And then I'm pretty sure everything else is very specific, so yeah, we can leave it at that. Also, this island, which is like lies here, if you can imagine, is also pretty common. Okay, not pretty common, but possible to get. Okay, now we're gonna look at the topography and everything real quick. Let us hop on over here and have a look. So, Brazil, let's take this away. Oh yeah, let's look at coverage. So coverage is very dense in the south, very dense all over here. In fact, it didn't used to be so dense when I started playing, but they've really filled in some places. Like Bahia has now these big clusters of very dense coverage, so it's pretty cool. That being said, the east of the country, or the west of the country, is pretty sparse. Even Mato Grosso is pretty sparse. Mato Grosso do Sul, like it pretty much, you draw a line here, and you're much less likely to get small back roads and all that kind of thing. That being said, there are still quite a few, like around Santa, and you can see a lot of red lines here. So, yeah, I would say that's pretty much what you got to know. Like, quite a bit of, like, the main roads are definitely worth learning, but apart from that, everything is pretty dense in Brazil. Okay, so turning that off, let's take a look at the terrain here. So Brazil is relatively flat as a country, I would say. It's fair to say, like, if you zoom in here, there are hills, but these are all quite tiny. Can we get the actual elevation of someone like this? 400 meters. So, yeah, they're visible hills, but they are not mountains, that's for sure. Acre, as I said, small hills. So you can see even on the bigger hills where no one lives. What is this? Doesn't even tell us the height. Yeah, 200 meters. So, yeah, that's kind of one of the point of what I wanted to get across there. The east of the country is definitely more mountainous. As you can see, we're starting to get some big mountains here around Espirito Santo. These are the like awesome ones that stick out of the ground. They're frequently, 1,000, 1,500 meters. If we look over here, how big is this? Yeah, 1,200. What about these big ones here? Yeah, 2,400. So yeah, they get quite tall in places. I guess there's a decent amount of coverage around that one. So yeah, you could definitely see that if you do we actually get a good view? I wonder. I'm actually kind of curious now. Maybe not on this exact place, but you can see that red soil that we're talking about here. Yeah, so I think just remembering there's almost always hills along the coast apart from some flat sections. And then you do get just a bunch of random hills in Mato Grosso, which is pretty good to know. And then central, I mean, you do get some pretty big hills in northern Goiás. These would be 600-700 meters, I guess. Oh, actually 1,000. So I don't think there's too much coverage there. Yeah, there's only a few roads there, but you do see them occasionally. Bahia as well has inland mountains. So I guess it's just worth remembering. Eastern, down the coast, especially here, next to the major cities, pretty epic big mountains. Western, hills with occasional mountains, and generally speaking, some elevation. It's never going to be giga flat. I guess Sergipe is quite a flat state. You do get some really flat areas of Bahia where it's just pretty flat. But all this kind of area, you have flatness, you have mountains, and you have rolling hills. And I think it's time to go for some gameplay here. I will try and explain everything as best I can. And let's get some good scores. Well, I'm not an expert at Brazil. Now we're doing countries where, apart from Australia, there are not too many countries where I'm just that guy, But for the purposes of this, it should be enough. Okay, first one's very hard because we're inside a eucalyptus forest. And it's a good way of recognizing Brazil that we have, big red soil, big eucalyptus forest here. As for me, yeah, not too sure about where this one's most likely to be. It kind of feels quite generic to me, so I'm probably just thinking of a middle click here. But it's not really a pleasant round here. Let's go like this. Okay, it was Minas Gerais there. Pretty good. I don't know. Not much to explain there, so I just want to move forward. Next one here. We've got some tall grass. That's a Tocantins meta, as we mentioned the state here. But this feels a bit further south to me. We have place names here. It's probably readable. One of the place names ends in ga, I think, which rings a bell. But we're not here to do place names. We're here to get rounds correct. So let's have a look here. We're right inside the thick of it here, so it's really hard to... Okay, so is that sugarcane is my question here. So we have big grass on the side of the road. I'm wondering if this field over here, what crop that is. Is that sugarcane? If so, I think it's Sao Paulo. I was already thinking Sao Paulo with the really nice road, kind of good infrastructure, overpass here. I think that makes sense. Oh, maybe I was thinking of Maringá. It could actually be. Would that say Maringá? Could actually do. I might hedge towards it. I still think it's Sao Paulo. We can even look at the road angle here, line something up. If we're in that kind of area, maybe this road here or something, and we'd have an overpass. So maybe, I mean, that's not an overpass, is it? Oh no, could be. Yeah. I wanted to find something that kind of fits, but let's just go like that. And yeah, basically, I'm pretty sure this is sugarcane. The road's really nice. The poles are uneven on the top, so it feels pretty good. I had no idea what the city was actually meant to be there, but yeah, I probably would have just clicked around here were it not for that sign. Okay, but that's a state streak for the first time. Next one here, again, sugarcane, red soil with sugarcane, thinking of I'm thinking of Sao Paulo, and now this time we have here some, what are they actually called? The Paraguay palms. Already forgot. Oh, that's okay. And that would lean you a little bit further west. Obviously, they're most common here. You do get a bit of sugarcane here if we were perhaps like in this region. Probably just going to go all the way west in Sao Paulo, though. Yeah, and then we have the striped card, which is quite common in Mato Grosso do Sul. So actually, we'll go over this other side. And yeah, it's just on the other side of the borders, but pretty good score. Okay, so not too bad so far. Pretty happy with that. Sugarcane again. It's not normally this common. This time, there's more of a question, I think, because the soil is not that red. It's pretty red over here, but if I look at the landscape here and these trees, they feel like not super tropical. You know, this kind of latitude here is putting us like in line with like Queensland, right? This latitude up here is putting us like much more in line with like Indonesia. So that's just the way I'm thinking of it, you know. I think this is like Parana, Sao Paulo, probably Sao Paulo. So let's go there. Yep. And the final one of the first seed. We can get a respectable 17k if we play well here, something like that. We have these fences, but I would not define this as a rickety fence. This is like normal straight-edged fence. Pretty useful for the south. I think it's like a good south-north distinction that I've not heard many people talk about. It's not in the guide, but something I use quite a lot. Though it doesn't always work. We have these kind of green hills, right? The green grassy hills that are typical of Minas Gerais. And red soil again, so just probably not northeast. Some crops here. It could be coffee, actually. So we could click in a coffee zone. Coffee zone would put us like here or over here. But I guess looks probably more like this side, doesn't it? Yeah, so... And we have fruit trees here as well. Not really sure what fruit trees mean. In many countries, they're useful. In Brazil, not quite so sure. Got some, maybe... coconut palms as well. I don't know. I'm just going to go like this, I think. Okay, might have been coffee. Not too sure there. But, really nice game. Quite an easy seed. Round 1 was very difficult. Everything else was very gettable. Yeah, almost 17,000 points there. So, I think that's always satisfactory on Brazil. Next one here, we got the antenna. Okay, so the antenna has started in Generation 4 to appear around the place here and there, which is always fun. It's one of the only Generation 4 countries with like a longer antenna. It's still pretty rare though. And we have a plain pole here with the insulator on top. That's like American style, but you can see this is the typical Brazil. It'll have dots, 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 then sections here. We've seen fairly few poles so far, but here's some good examples. And this vegetation almost feels a little Uruguayan to me. And I know the antenna shows up sometimes near Santa Maria, like this kind of area here. So that's probably my guess here. It can be elsewhere in the country. Tends to show up quite a lot in Mato Grosso do Sul, Mato Grosso, the antenna does. But I think the soil will be redder here in those places. And yeah, just something about like the wild eucalyptus and yeah. Again, we have kind of like a southern style fence, I would say. Like more... This one is kind of rickety, actually. It's a little sus, but I think I just have to trust how the round looks. So yeah, the fences... I guess that's why it's not in the guide, because it's not that consistent of a meta, but it is useful. Yeah, what's there? Good start. State streak of 2 or 3. Can't remember how many we have in a row now. We've got more of these Paraguay palms. Very shaggy, I call them. Very shaggy. These Paraguay palms. Southern style fence here this time, definitely. Tiled roofs, as usual. Definitely. Some of the northeast states have a bit less of tiled roofs, but still very common. Grassy hills here, definitely this time. And more eucalyptus. Yeah, there's a lot of eucalyptus in Brazil. I think this is Minas Gerais again, actually. Simply because we have red soil, grassy hills. Paraguay palms are interesting. Southern style fence, though. Yeah, I would go, like, west of Belo Horizonte here, like that. Okay. A little bit further south, we do get the state streak, though. On, like, 4. Either 3 or 4. Okay, next one here. Now we're getting a bit more interesting. We have some, like, barbaçu palms. Like, kind of sprouting out like a triangle. These might be... What are these? Are these actually coconuts? I feel like they're just, like, bigger barbaçus, which are growing out a bit more, maybe. This immediately, landscape-wise, just reminded me of Marignal. Barbasu's everywhere with these like little baby ones growing out, and then it's quite dry. Like I feel like that combination is very much a Marignal combination, maybe elsewhere as well. But yeah, there's that plate I was telling you about. A random hill here is interesting. Can we get anything else here? I mean, architecture also feels kind of northern in a way. But I could be wrong. I think if I was wrong, it might be Tocantins or Mato Grosso or something like that. But it would be a lot of Barbasus. Like, I feel like that would be a bit strange for up there. Also, this is like a southern style fence, so I guess that's why they don't say the fence stuff. It's highly contextual, and it's useful. I think like the rickety fence isn't normally northeast, but as we saw, can be all the way south too. Okay, well, where would I think here? I think I would go Marignal. It just kind of feels like it to me, hard to describe. It's a bit inland as well, but it's a lot of palms. I don't know. I'm gonna go here. Let's find out. Okay, just over the border. Yeah, in Tocantins. I thought it might be Tocantins. I think the poles didn't quite feel quite Marignal, but you can see it's a good enough guess in the context of Brazil. A bit annoying there. Next one here, very nice infrastructure. Immediately giving me a south vibe. Round poles, also southern, as we mentioned. Same thing with the wooden poles. Green grassy hills, but this time they feel a bit different. There's less red soil going on, so it feels a bit more coastal. I guess the coast also has a bit less of that red soil. And yeah, to me it feels like it's near a big city. I would say Sao Paulo, Rio, or Belo Horizonte here. Probably one of those three. Round poles would probably lean you... Like, I don't know, this, like, the one with, like, the face with, like, the tongue and the two eyes. That's how it looks to me. I feel like you do see there's quite a lot near Rio de Janeiro, so I might just try that. We don't have any piranha pines, the ones that I said are really useful. Yeah, and obviously they would lean you towards Paraná. Yeah, so it's not sugarcane, I think. It's just some kind of a weed. So yeah, I'm going to try this. Not too confident on this one, though. Yeah, okay. Actually, just over in Sao Paulo. As I said, probably going to be near one of those three big cities. Sure. Okay, next one here. Grassy hills, red soil, southern style fences, some Paraguay palms. Quite southern feeling here, I would say, with the grassy hills like that. Paraguay palms obviously not really going to be found in the north. But is it actually Minas here? I could see a decent argument for Goiás with this amount of Paraguay palms. I think I'm just going to go Minas, though. Nice. Good guess. And there we go. Another, actually 18k that time. Very good. Very good. I guess if we went Sao Paulo instead of Rio, we would have had a great score, but instead, it was a good one. Okay. But I feel like this is going pretty well, right? Next one here. A bunch of fruit trees, as far as I can tell here. Okay. Kind of rolling landscape. We've had very forgiving rounds so far, I gotta say, by the way. It's not normally this forgiving in Brazil, and we haven't had Amazon yet, which is admittedly not my strong point. And that looks like it might be some sugarcane here. Hard to say. That's a very useful crop to be able to recognize, as you guys have seen. Not many palms. We do have some Paraguay palms here. What's the color of the car? Blue. Blue in 2023. Okay. Some eucalyptus there, I think. Yep. And some rolling hills. Yeah, this is difficult for sure. I'm thinking it's just like a Mato Grosso, Goiás, Sao Paulo. Something in that region. The blue car, as I said, is kind of uncommon in Mato Grosso do Sul. So thinking just like a southern Goiás here, actually. With the kind of rolling green hills, but they're kind of smaller. The palm trees. Yeah, I'm going to go here. Okay, actually Sao Paulo. I think I mentioned Sao Paulo as one of the options, yeah. Surprisingly east there. But it makes sense with the kind of grassy hills. I guess I just got baited by the palm trees a bit, yeah. Next one here, very long grass. Immediately noticing that golden long grass. Fences, kind of, yeah. I guess I'll stop mentioning the fences. I realize it's not as useful as I thought when I said it at the start. But yeah, okay, there's our typical Brazil pole. Next time, and I'll also like try and explain, I guess, a few. If you guys are still here, maybe you're more experienced. But I mean, here we have that white curb. Try and explain a few rounds where, you know, you might go a different country what to look at for Brazil. Because, like, this kind of fence because even more in Colombia than it does in Brazil, for example. Yeah, maybe like a Latin America map. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Anyway. Okay, where is this? Long grass immediately, like, makes you think of Tocantins. We have like soybean transportation trucks. Really common where they grow soybeans, like Goiás, Mato Grosso. Northwest is pretty flat. Not entirely, though. Not much agriculture here. Don't see any cows or anything either. Oh, is that a cow? Maybe. Might just be a cloud. Okay, well, I think it's Mato Grosso or Goiás based on the trucks. And based on the long grass, I would lean Goiás. So let's go, like, here. Ooh, it actually is Maranhão. I feel like on Maranhão, you would normally be able to see some palm trees. So let's see if we missed any palms here. Also, the trucks were baiting as well. I think this is just a difficult one. The fence was a little bit northern style. Yeah, actually, a lot of these are rickety, by the way. But what's going on here? We don't see a single palm tree, so that renders this as quite a difficult one, in my opinion. Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. Yeah, I think I'm comfortable saying that this is just a difficult round. These are the kind of like with the kind of big covers on them. You would normally expect that in the soybean territory, especially multiple of them. Honestly, I'm just kind of surprised here. Even moving around, we're not seeing like any palm trees. So yeah, I would say that's for Maranhão, that's quite unexpected. First blunder of the video, at least. It's taken a while for us to get one. That's a very Amazonian-looking palm, which is interesting because I thought this was not Amazon. Huge mountains east, by the way. Okay. Fence is just like normal southern style. So maybe this is an outlier. We have a bunch of them. Yeah, this is like the ones that are really common west and then less common, much less common east. Okay. So why? Why do we have those? Maybe just Goiás then. Like, oh, and we have the Old World Fern. That's what that's called. That I also would not expect to see. This could be those really big mountains that we saw over in Goiás. They're east of us. I kind of like that. Why do I kind of like that? Well, I think it really looks kind of just like a normal Minas Gerais, but for these palms. Like, maybe a Brazil expert who's watching can tell me if I'm tripping here. Now I'm looking for anything else I can see, like any piranha pine or anything like that. But yeah, I think I'm reluctantly going to go Goiás here, but very aware that this might just be Minas. Like, but what are these guys doing here? I don't know. Okay, it was. We were looking at which mountains? Actually, which mountains were we looking at east? They were big ones here. I meant these ones? No. Where actually are these mountains? It was like east of us, right? Sometimes it's hard to get a scale for how big the mountains are in Brazil. Well, that was a good guess, though. That was a very good guess. We used the palm trees to our advantage, which normally is able to be done, to be honest. This feels very Espírito Santo, Minas Gerais. Big green hills. These pale-looking trees sticking out from the trees are also common in this kind of area here. Yeah, I think I'm just comfortable with this guess. It should be like east of Belo Horizonte in this area here, I would say. Yeah, nice. Here we go. Got some section poles, 4 sections on this one. No crossbar. Crossbar is useful when the crossbar shows up. It's most of the time there. Got some cows here. There's the, what's it called? What kind of cow is that again? Nelore cow or something? It's really common in India and Brazil. They're from India. Okay, let's get into the round though. Got a bit of fake grass here, but a lot of real grass, so it's not going to be that Ceará area. Ooh, interesting palm trees. I'm not even sure if I know what those are. Yeah. If I don't know, then I just ignore, for the most part. Feels like very pleasant landscape. Feels a bit cooler as well. Fences are kind of fancy here. White-topped ones. Quite common in Brazil and Colombia, I would say. But yeah, most Brazils are just solved by red soil plus a pole, you know? That's really enough. That's all you need. I think this actually might be Sao Paulo. It's kind of a bit hilly for Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo is pretty flat state. I don't know. Just kind of gives me that vibe, I think. There's not much going on here, unfortunately. Like a extra vegetation would be really nice, but we don't have it, unfortunately. But it's not going to be north. There's not going to be North Brazil, I believe. It actually could be, but I would be kind of surprised. Okay, let's go for middle of Sao Paulo. And it was just Goiás there. It was the other option, 12.7 only there. Okay, this is the type of round you might go in a different country on because the soil is not so red. So let's break down why this is Brazil first. So lots of like kind of small, very dry trees, kind of bushy stuff. Very common northeast. The white soil as well, kind of like makeup colored soil, cream colored soil. And then obviously you're going to be able to see poles a lot of the time. Even from a distance here, I can see the sections. And I think I see white mushroom there. The one I said is Bahia. So that would make sense here for the landscape. Yeah, I don't know though. Like, you see a bit of the red soil elsewhere here still, and I don't know, guys. Like the rickety fences that I said for northeast, we're finally up northeast, so we can see some here. Yeah, I don't know, guys. It's kind of hard to explain without poles and without soil. Yeah, it's a fairly difficult round, I could admit. But there's just not many other places that look like that, you know. So just Brazil. So where is our hills here? We got quite a big ridge to our northeast, but yeah. I don't know. It looked more northeastern to me than what I've clicked here, but it's quite flat up here, as I said, and we're kind of in a hilly area. And I believe we see a white mushroom here, so I'm going to go here. Nice. Yeah, pretty good guess there. Actually, southern Bahia. Okay, this is like easy Minas Gerais, surely. Green hills, red dirt, southern fences. Ooh, look at these. What's going on? Like rocks in the... What was it? Termite hills. We actually got a palm there. We got some bananas as well. I think this is Minas, but with the palm and with the termite hills and the bananas, maybe leaning me more west in Minas. Like, but I don't know. It's a bit drier out there, so I'm probably just gonna go here. I think, yeah. Oh, actually southern again. Okay, missed that southern pocket a little bit, but still a good score. We're back northeast here, very dry. We got the long grass, but something feels maybe not quite right for Tocantins. I don't know. It could be. Actually, could be. We have one of the Sierra palms here, the pom-pom palm. Okay, that's interesting. Doesn't necessarily mean it can be all the surrounding states too. Sugar. The plot thickens. We also have supports on some of the poles, right? I thought we did. Yeah, that's also pretty rare for the northeastern states. Not out of the question, but yeah. Okay. Starting to put it all together here. Yeah, not easy, this. Is it? We got some conflicting clues. We got the supports on the pole. We got the long grass. We got the Sierra palm. So there's a bit of conflicting information here, I would say. But sometimes you just got to deal with that. In Brazil, most matters are not 100%. I guess I would go West Pernambuco? Does that make sense? I'm not really convinced that makes sense, actually. No, I'd probably just have to go Sierra here. It is actually just Bahia, middle of Bahia. Okay, that's very difficult. I feel like that's... Oh, no. It's a similar looking palm that you sometimes get in central Bahia that looks like the Sierra one, but it's just quite rare. I think that's what happened there. Now can I contextualize? But I mean, still seeing sugar plantations there is... I mean, maybe because it's on a long river, but that's not an ideal result, to be honest. Okay, next one here. Again, northeastern, I would say. We're getting a string of them now. Kilometer marker, big hill. Okay, the grass here. We got a very rickety fence. Look, it's barely even a fence. We got like the full white car. Yeah. So I think the car... Okay, you might not even think this is Brazil, right? But we got the chevrons. So that's how you know it's Brazil. No other country in South America uses those. And then the full white car is very common in Ceará. And the vegetation is kind of low-lying, whitish sand, fakeish grass. Like, we don't see any real grass peeking through here. It's a lot of this stuff, so I would say this is Central Ceará. Actually, just south of the border on Pernambuco. Okay. And we're back northeast again. Nice. Or are we? This one's a bit more ambiguous. White soil. White sandy soil. What are we growing here? Like cassava, actually. We're growing cassava. I can't remember where they grow that in Brazil. But landscape-wise and everything, this reminded me of like Paraíba or something, I would say. Again, like low-lying vegetation, no real grass, very sandy soil. Some hills, but quite flat. I'm going to send it in. This one could be very wrong. If it is, it's probably more central. I don't really see it being out west or down south, but I wouldn't be that surprised. It's just something coastal and difficult here, I think. And I said it was coastal, but I still said inland. But it's a good guess, honestly. Yeah, 14k. And I guess let's do like 1 or 2 NMPZ to like think about what you might look for on NMPZ. So yeah, it's a bit of a different game on NMPZ Brazil because you can't like get that vegetation info and that pole info quite as easily. Here we have those typical curbs, big shoulders on the road, also pretty Brazilian. Very red soil, obviously. Okay, this one's difficult. I think we do have quite a sufficient amount of long grass here to say this is kind of Tocantins. The road being very grainy is like an old fake meta for Tocantins as well. Like, it doesn't actually work that well, but, you know, it's pretty commonly there. So, let's give it a go here. Northwest Road. Try that. Okay, it was Goiás. Actually, no, was it Tocantins? Okay, just over in Goiás. Pretty decent guess. Next one, Grassy Hills. Southern Fences. Actually, are they not? Because it could be northern. It could actually be northern grassy hills. They show up occasionally, like some like the Recife hills. Yeah, you can kind of see there is like kind of like rolling hills landscape with grass in the wet season. I think the soil's a bit too red here. In addition to that, we don't see any palm trees, so I think it's safe for south here, and I will go like there. Okay, was Minas Gerais? Yep. Extremely red soil here. Agricultural. We haven't had much south yet. I feel like this is Paraná. We don't have... Ooh. The soil is extremely dark. Like, it does remind me of this area. We have corn. Also really common in Paraná. And... we... Yeah. I was going to say and other stuff, but yeah. I mean, this kind of felt a bit jungle-ish, what they've cut away here, but... Like, imagine what it looked like when it was a jungle, man. They've really, like, Brazil is a very exploited country in terms of resources, I would say. But, okay, let's go, like, here. I think it's here. Yeah, that west pocket of Paraná looks like that. Next one. More tree plantations, southern fences. Yeah, so I'm thinking, like, Sao Paulo, Uberlandia. Goiás, maybe. Very red soil. I don't know where this is. NMPZ's difficult, man. I'm just going to go here. Yeah. Mato Grosso is hard there. Not much to give it away, I would say. Okay, soil here is suspiciously pale. So I'm immediately thinking this might be like a very green northeast round. This tree also feels kind of African, which is kind of like what you often see on the northeastern vegetation. I mean, it would fit nicely into Africa, of course, as it kind of got the shape of Brazil here, so it does make sense that the places close to Africa kind of have that feel to them, maybe. Okay, like Recife, maybe Fortaleza. I'll go like here, I think. Okay, nice. Yeah, just vibe that one out, to be honest. Actually, 15k is pretty good for NMPZ. Next one. So got some kind of green grassy hills, but it's a bit more wild this time. Well, if I was NM, I would be checking for a Paraná pine here because I feel like this could be south. We haven't seen much of the south yet, so I'd like to get some south rounds, but it's a bit overgrown maybe for the south. I don't know, like it's a bit weird. The soil's very red. Yeah, not quite sure what I make of this one. Probably just like a Western Minas or something. I don't know if I love that. Goiás. I don't know. It could be. I don't know. Like it could actually be down south. Let's see. It was. Yeah. Okay, let's reset. But I mean, maybe I should look at the location. But yeah, I mean, like it was a difficult round. I think most people struggle with that one. Okay, around poles here. So as we said, that leads you south. But it can also be seen in most capital cities of each state. Looks like south we have flatness here. I feel like this is like one of these coastal towns near Rio or near Vittoria or something like that. So south we see some kind of hill. I don't know, like... Oh, I'm just gonna go there. It's just some... Okay, that's nice. Well, that's just some coastal town. I was like, it can literally be from Salvador down to freaking Florianopolis. But we got lucky. Nice. We'll use the angle a little bit to our advantage there. Okay, we're in the Amazon. I can immediately tell that we got the Barbasus. And we've got... What else, actually? I don't know, it just looks like it. Yeah, we got like a bunch of Barbasus here, actually. Grass is like very vibrant green. Is this like this road here, maybe? The 174? I feel like it kind of looks like that. Yeah. Yeah, the grass texture and the palms. And probably I recognize the road somewhat as well. But as I said, like those longer roads you can kind of learn. I don't know that road, but it just kind of made sense. When I saw the road angle, I was like, yeah, it should be. Okay, the carving covered up here is a bit of a bummer. This is super generic. Mucho generico. Maybe Maranhão. We don't see any palm trees though. As I said, you normally like to see some palm trees in Maranhão. What do you do? What do you do? I think that I would indeed try that, but I just think it can be anywhere in these kind of interior states like this. Could even see it being like Mato Grosso do Sul, which is crazy. Let's go like that. Yeah, it was almost. Bloody impossible, to be honest. Okay, next one here. This looks southern. So very red soil, but we have like southern looking crops, southern looking fences. No piranha pines. So Santa Catarina, like Santa Catarina is kind of the epicenter of it, right? So feeling more piranha here. Oh, and even actually, yeah. Maybe the fact there was no piranha pines should lean us stress there. I don't know. That's a tough one. Okay, now we have piranha pines. I wanted to end off the video at least with getting one. So there we go. So there's some piranha pines here, 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 here. As you can see, they're quite useful, quite common when you actually get south here. Lots of pine forests as well south, just in general. It's a bit colder, so they grow more easily. It's a bit hillier, so they grow more easily. This should be like here. Actually over in Paraná, but yeah. Okay, I mean, not quite ideal, 15k, but I'm pretty consistent on getting at least decent scores, yeah? This is like... this pavement I would associate with Northeast. These are coastal trees. These like very thin, whiskered pines, very coastal. We have a round pole. I can immediately see that, which is interesting. Because everything kind of pointed me towards the north here, but those... The fact that we have a round pole may actually lean us south. We have a lot of these palms here. Which direction would the ocean be? Probably south, I think. Oh, maybe it is actually just like Sao Paulo, coastal town, which is not what I was thinking. I was more so on the vibe that this was like Recife, Natal, Salvador. Blue buildings is weird too. Yeah, it's a bit too generic here. A little, well, not generic. It's not generic. It's a little bit too. There's a lot of places that look like this, I feel. Okay. Fence is kind of south style. I'm actually going to commit to the south idea here. I am. I'm going to go, I just don't know what kind of southern towns actually kind of feel like this. The south coast? Let's try that. Okay, not too bad. It's very far away, but at the same time, it was the right idea. South coast indeed. Yeah, a bit flatter there in northern Rio de Janeiro. We're only one state over, but yeah. Okay. Again, this looks like the ones I've been clicking Paraná on. Very dark soil. Southern looking vegetation. It could just be this area of Minas again, though. But this time I am even more confident with Paraná, I think. Yeah, it was. Next one. Northeastern. Do we get an area code? No area code. Okay. Whitish soil. Round poles again. Wait, maybe it's not. These African trees. Is it difficult? Does it say anything there? Not that I can make out. Oof. Okay. I think the white soil with the African-looking trees are northeast here. Oh, but I can't lie, it is a bit confusing with the round pole. Why we see that? Not sure. Maybe like outside Marseille here or something like that. Actually, maybe a bit further north. Maybe outside Yoao, Pessoa, Pessoa, Yoao, Pessoa. I don't know. I'll try that. Ah, middle of Batya, tough one. That's why the pole was round. You do sometimes see round poles in Batya. Yeah, I should have actually thought that a bit more through. Next one here. This could easily be south, actually. Very grassy. I don't know, just something about the trees here doesn't, and the flatness. I don't know, it could just be Rio Grande do Sul. But perhaps it is just like Sao Paulo, Mato Grosso do Sul. I don't know. I'm going to go for an interesting guess here and go south. And it was just Mato Grosso do Sul. Okay. Flat, red soil. Makes sense. Like Paraguay's got really red soil. Misiones does too. Yeah. Next one. Okay, it's kind of falling apart. I lost concentration a bit here. This looks like south again, though, to me. Like greenish stuff on the hills, rolling landscape. It's kind of the same 50-50 as the last round. This time I would maybe... Yeah, I'm still kind of feeling just like a... Paraná? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to go like this. Okay, it was almost Paraná, just over the border in Santa Catarina. Okay, well, there you go. 10,000. We actually managed to stay above 10k for every game. And you can see, even when I'm getting it wrong, I'm getting it right, you know. Because it is a pretty dividable country into different parts, I would say. So, that's it for this one. Comment what you want to see. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. Give it a like. I'll see you guys in a mastering Geoguessr very soon. Bye-bye.